Welcome back, and you're watching Markets at Noon on ET Now. And let's keep it a bit with the earnings. Jyothy Labs reported the numbers. Now we're seeing severe pressure coming in on the margins of the company. Let's understand from the management what are they expecting in terms of margins, as well as what is the rural growth outlook as well. Let's bring on board Mr. Ullas Kamath, who's the joint managing director at Jyothy Labs. Welcome, sir, and firstly, festive greetings to you. And with that, let's just dive in and talk about the top line. Now, surely we've seen a strong growth coming in, but what is the current demand trend that you're seeing coming in? And would you say that you're back to pre-COVID levels in all your segments?
In fact, we have done much better than the pre-COVID levels. And if you see, we did have a higher base in the first quarter last year. We grew at 4%, then 8%, then 15%, then 21%, and now we are at a 16% top line growth. So it is right from the first quarter after the shutdown, lockdown in the country. We have been growing consistently, and now we are growing at double digit and in all the segments. Like whether it's a fabric care, whether it's a dishwash or household insecticides, or personal care, it's a wonderful numbers. What has come out in the last quarter, a 16% overall growth, and the volume is about 12%.
Good afternoon, Mr. Kamath. This is Cheryl also joining in the conversation. Let me talk about the inflationary trends that we are witnessing in the raw materials. Margins have seen a sharp contraction. So what is your outlook for the raw materials and the margins going ahead, and where do you see your margins actually settling at for the year?
First quarter during the COVID, we thought it's only for one quarter. Then went for the second quarter, the third quarter, and if you see the last 5 quarters, the price of the raw material has gone up almost 1:1.8. It's a huge jump at any point in time for FMCG. And in our case, in the quarter which we have reported now, the overall impact of the raw material, increase in raw material was about 12% for us of the net sales. Out of that, about 5% we were able to manage by increasing the price hike selectively. Another 2% we got operational efficiencies because of the scale, and balance we had to take a hit on the gross margin. So it's a tough call to take, but at the same time, we only hope that the raw material price will settle down, or else we are left with no option than taking some price hike in the coming quarters also.
Like you mentioned, you have taken some amount of price hikes, and if RM inflation continues, but how much more price hikes will you be looking to take without actually affecting the demand of consumers? Because that's also a big concern now, because the inflation is unprecedented. So what is your outlook and strategy on that?
Of course, yes, because inflation is also inching north a little bit. And diesel prices are up, and petrol prices are up. So end of the day, the consumer has to use the same money what he gets for all these things, food and non-food items. So increasing the price hike, if you see in the larger perspective, it is not the right thing to do when you are able to get extra market share and the volume growth. And if you see in the last 6 quarters, we have gained the market share in all the segments where we are present, and especially from rural India, where smaller SKUs are almost 25% of our business comes from the smaller SKUs. So it's very, very difficult to take a price hike there. So to that extent, yes, we are doing a lot of optimization, some moderation, some selective price hike we are taking. But yes, conscious of demand, we are managing the supply based on market demand, and I hope that demand will continue. And the rural at this point in time for us is it's really the growth driver, and there we are seeing some bit of moderation, but growth of double digit looks like it's going to stay for some more quarters.
Mr. Kamath, that's exactly my next question to you. And HUL has highlighted about the rural growth. So what is your outlook in particular when it comes to rural area and in terms of growth in that area?
For us, 40% of our business comes from rural India, and rural growth has been, when compared to the urban growth, rural growth used to be at 1:1.3. Both are growing, but rural is growing faster than the urban, and it used to be 1:1.3. but probably now it will be 1:1.2. To that extent, it is getting settled, or probably little moderation is happening. Maybe because of higher base of what we saw last year, and at the same time, inflation is slowly kicking in, and some of the daily needs of items also is going up, especially in staple things. So to that extent, I see that probably it'll a bit moderation is expected in the coming 2 quarters.
All right, Mr. Kamath, we leave it at that. Thank you for joining us on the show, giving us your take on the quarter gone by, as well as what lies ahead for your company, especially also on the rural growth front. And that was Mr. Ullas Kamath, who is a joint managing director at Jyothy Laboratories. On that note, we slip into a break on this edition of Buying House. I beg your pardon, on this edition of Markets at Noon. But stay tuned, lots on the other side. Don't go anywhere.